and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews with me, George, and this is the latest instalment of Bands You Need to Hear. So these are recommendations from me to you of bands I've either known about for a while or I've recently come across, but bands that I think if you're not acquainted with them already, then you really ought to be, because they're worth your time and worth the ear damage, because these guys are absolutely going places, in my opinion, of course. So today's recommendation comes from Norway. They've been around since about 2005. The members have worked or are currently in other Norwegian bands, other extreme metal bands, but they've actually, between the latest release, which came out last year, 2021, they've actually had a 9-year gap in full-length releases. But as far as I can tell, they're still going, they're still meaning business. I'm talking about these guys, Nekromantheon. Just rolls off the tongue with this absolutely stellar album, just over half an hour long, of just pure ripping blackened thrash metal. I'll try and say this right. Visions of Trismegistos. Visions of Trismegistos. Not the easiest title to pronounce, so I'll probably just refer to the album as Visions. Some cool artwork there, very Black and Death. This is a really solid album. I will admit that I haven't heard the previous two albums before this one. This one was 2021, as I said. I haven't heard the other two. I'm sure that you could Spotify them or YouTube them easily enough. But just from the strength of this one album, I would absolutely recommend these guys. Imagine taking little snippets and elements from the likes of Creator, Destruction, Slayer, Exodus, throw it in the pot, add in a decent helping of Hellhammer and Celtic Frost, sprinkle in a little bit of Dark Throne in there, and maybe a dash of 1349 for good blackened measure. And this is effectively what you're going to get. This is very thrashy, crunchy stuff, heavy on the thrashing riffs, which is exactly what we want to hear. But it's very dark, it's very nasty and raw. Certainly a very raw album. Some killer material here. I think it's only 8 tracks. Try and show you the back there without killing you with glare. But you've got 8 tracks. Really strong tracks, I will say. There's some real standout moments here, absolutely. The first track is the title track, Visions of Trismegistos. Really heavy, thrashy number. Nice and black. But by the time the second track kicks in, 7 Rulers of Fate, we've got instantly so much more chug, so much more groove, so much more heavy, almost a bit of old school Slayer in there, very distinctive old school Slayer, circa Rain and Blood. Other real standout moments for me that I would absolutely recommend you start with is Neptune Descent and the closing track, Zealot Rain. Both are very heavily rooted in early Celtic Frost. Absolutely reeks of Tom G. Warrior's influence there. Not so much vocally, although there is that good raspy snarl there. Just in the killer riffs and the really gloomy atmosphere. Thanatos, second to last track there, absolutely distinct early Destruction. Soon as I heard that, those opening riffs, absolutely killer stuff, but it just made me think early Destruction. Absolutely. Infernal Overkill, Sentence of Death, just takes you right back there. Elsewhere, we've got Faustian Rites, really killer heavy track, and the mighty Scorched Death, which is a little bit more of a death metal kind of vibe in there, but really heavy. Overall, the overarching sound and style here is definitely thrash. but it's very blackened. It's got a lot of death elements in there sprinkled throughout, certainly in terms of the heavy crushing riffs. So if you're a fan of any of those previously mentioned bands, and also of the sort of new wave, I don't know if that's actually what it's termed, but there really has been a resurgence, a new wave of blackened thrash or blackened heavy metal in recent years, with the likes of Midnight or Hell Ripper, just to name a few. There's so many, actually. Eternal Evil I've spoken about recently, where it's definitely thrash, but it's very dark and gloomy and raw, nasty, like the early black metal scenes. So if you have not heard of these guys, this is a band you need to hear. Nekromantheon from Norway. Check them out. I should probably check out the first 2 albums as well, actually, see if I can get hold of a copy. Absolutely killer blackened thrash. So check them out. I hope you like the recommendation and the review. Feel free to like and subscribe, of course, and let me know what you think of these guys. Absolutely love them myself. I've been listening to this album a lot since I got it a couple of months ago. So Nekromantheon, a band you need to hear. Thanks for watching. Take care, my friends. Stay heavy.